Today, we're going to talk about what the letters GPT from ChatGPT actually means. So, most people, they've used ChatGPT, but maybe you don't know some of the background behind it. In the next 5 minutes, you're going to be able to understand that so that you can get the results you want. You don't run into the same issues over and over, and you can get the results faster. So, first of all, what is the G? It stands for generative. That one is a little bit easier to understand. It is the way it sounds, so it can generate or create new outputs rather than just classifying. The next letter is P, and this is where we're going to get into some of the more important parts of this. So P stands for pre-trained. Basically, it was trained over a period of time on a massive data sets to learn language patterns. And it's kind of like a universal brain. You know, the companies, OpenAI, some of the other ones are Anthropic, Meta, etc. Now, part of that was done unsupervised. So it's just learning from raw text. And then there's a process after called back propagation, where it basically goes back and tweaks things with billions of parameters so the next guess gets better. Then after that, there's also something called reinforcement learning with human feedback. So this is where the humans actually come in and they're kind of like fine tuning everything. So all of that has to happen so that, these systems from OpenAI and models from other companies have the information that's needed to actually do the transformation and the generation. So the next letter, T, that's for transformer. And this is also really critical because this is the neural network architecture that powers GPT. And one thing that you may want to dive deeper into is the term self-attention. This is a really key concept when it comes to transformer, because this basically lets the model decide while reading a sentence which words should it really pay attention to, like which ones matter most, and it's going to give them a weight. So if we go a little bit further into transformer, these are the aspects here. We have an embedding layer, which converts the words into numbers or vectors. So like the word dog might become, something like this. And if you want to take a look at this yourself, you can go over to platform.openai.com/tokenizer, and you can type in whatever sentence you want. You can get a visualization of how it's separating the tokens, okay? And then also see, you see the text is here, but you can also click token IDs. So this is what I was talking about. It's actually converting each of these tokens into these IDs. So, it goes into these numbers, these vectors. That's what's actually happening behind the scenes, okay? So this is kind of like the entry point, because it's not necessarily that it's like just working with the words or characters. It's actually working with, these vector numbers, okay? So one other thing you really should take a look at, if you go over to this URL, Valem.ai LLM leaderboard, and you scroll down, you can get a model comparison. So you can see like GPT-5, Claude Opus, et cetera. You can see what their context window is. And if you don't know what a context window is, I do have a video on that. So go check that out because it is very, very important. But you can see what the context window is. So you can see what it's able to handle, basically. You can see what the input cost is per million tokens, et cetera. So if you're building something, if you're engineering something and you're using like an open AI API, if you're using one of their models, you want to know these things because, depending on the cost, maybe you need something that's cheaper for a simpler purpose, or maybe you need something more complex. But also, depending on the context window, even if you're just in ChatGPT, it's important to know those types of things because that's going to determine what it can, the context that it can remember. And so you might be thinking, well, maybe I just need to change my prompt. Maybe I need to learn more about prompt engineering. Well, it might not be what's in your prompt. It could be maybe you just have the wrong model altogether. So that's why these types of things are so important. If you want to dive deeper into this, these are some of the other terms I would recommend looking into, like positional encoding, which has like the word order, there's a feed forward network, residual connections, etc. I'm going to keep this a simple video, but we can talk more about some of those in the future. And if you found this video useful, definitely go check out some of my other videos about context, windows, and tokens. Like I said, that's really going to help you out in your decision process. And if this helped, definitely click that like button. It helps the algorithm. And if you have a comment or question, feel free to leave a comment. All right. Talk to you guys next time.